Do-do-do-do. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Intuitive Arts Festival talk show. I am so excited to be able to share with you this evening, and we've got some very special guests that are going to be joining us. The Intuitive Arts Festival has been happening in Victoria now for the last 12 years, and it has been such an amazing experience. It's a place where like-minded souls can get together and share their experiences and talk openly about their spirituality, and of course, meet other people to be able to share with them as well. And I tell you, there has been so many stories that I have heard throughout the years about people finding that little piece of truth that they had been looking for so long. And then the connections and the friends that have been made as well. It's just been so beautiful to be able to witness. And as you know, we can't meet in person this year, but we're going to do the next best thing, which is that we're meeting online. So I really hope that you get your tickets and that you are able to join us, and you can get those at intuitiveartsfestival.com. And also, we have a very special event coming up this Saturday for those of you who are in Victoria. And this is going to be at the Da Vinci Center. We're going to be doing a pop-up. So we're going to have a book and spiritual gift exchange. So you can bring a book, bring an old deck of cards you're not using anymore, and trade it in for something new. And myself, as well as Siobhan, is going to be there. And we are going to be doing little card pulls and little mini sessions for free. So you'll be able to get your tickets, and you'll also be given a very special little quartz crystal. What we are wanting to do is create a crystal grid around the city between all of those like-minded souls and light workers, people that are here to help people and to help their hearts and to help people find their truth, their wisdom, and their own sense of intuition. All right, well, I am going to bring forward our very first guest. And this is a lady that is absolutely wonderful. She has so many offerings that she brings to the table. She does work with finding your own personal dragon, as well as tarot as well. So we are going to have a chat with Lisa Wong. Hi, Lisa. Can you hear me?
Hi, Andrea. I sure can. Thanks for inviting me to have a chat with you. I'm really excited.
Wonderful. Is your video working? Do you think we can see your beautiful
Oh,
face?
sorry.
No
How's that?
worries. There you are. How are you?
I am very well. Currently sitting in Canmore.
Ooh,
Oh,
it just makes me cold when you say that. Is it snowing there?
no, it's quite nice today.
Okay, awesome. Wonderful. So, Lisa, tell us about your work.
So I do a lot of different things with healing as well as readings. One of the things that I have really gained an affinity for over the last little while is dragons and dragon energy, because it's such a high ascended energy, and it really makes you strive for higher vibrational work and feelings. And so your love from your heart becomes expanded because you're working in the ninth dimensional heart, cosmic heart. And you're also working on an elemental level with not only the four standard elements, but also the fifth one, which is the void.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's so cool. And we're going to be learning all about dragons and finding your own personal dragon at your workshop.
Yes, yes, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited. Um, when people embrace their own dragon and they call on that as another personal guide, it changes the whole dynamic of how they work with guides. Because when you see an elemental dragon working with your spirit guides, it changes the whole dynamic of the energy, and it's so amazing to experience.
Beautiful. Oh, well, I'm so excited about that. I can't wait. So, how did you get into this whole field? Like, when did you find out that you had these like intuitive and healing gifts?
From the time I was quite young, honestly, my great grandparents were from Japan, and they taught me a lot of things about Japan before the war. So this is all before the war. So this is old Japan before the westernization. So their belief systems and their um, stories and their knowledge that they carried is so different than it is today. They still have the old stories and the old legends. However, hearing it firsthand from my great grandparents who experienced that kind of a dynamic in old Japan. My great grandmother, the first story I can remember her telling me is when she was walking home one night and over a bridge that she experienced a spirit, and she was frozen in spot because she wasn't sure what she should do, and it guided her across the bridge through the fog and the mist and sent her on her way. And she told me that story when I was quite young. I was probably about 6. Yeah. So then, I became a teenager and I knew everything. So,
Always. That like all teenagers do, of course. Yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
And I went away from this. And when I was in my 20s, I came back to it again and went, this is something that's part of me. I feel it in my entire being. And my mentor at the time, she was in High River, and she taught me a lot of interesting things, not in a structured teaching manner, which was interesting because I struggle learning in a structure, and she knew that. Yeah, so she taught me a different way about cards and how to read cards and how to experience cards, not only for myself but for my clients, and how to have the experience with the cards for my clients and then transfer that to them. And then from there, I went into Reiki and healing arts of all kinds. And then Rona Beaumont and I developed the Dragon Path Energy Healing course working with the dragon energy.
Beautiful. Well, the cool thing about dragons is that it's something that is found in mythology around the world, right? Like, like in Japan and China, and then like even in Europe as well, right? And then you look at like the Thunderbirds that like, within like the First Nations like culture in North America as well. So it's one of these commonalities that all cultures like seem to bridge, and whenever I see that, I see that grain of truth that connects everything together. So I think it's so wonderful that you're going to be sharing all of this like with us, and just allowing people to be able to find that personal connection that they feel as well.
Yes, and it's really interesting talking about the indigenous cultures. In past history, dragons, for say dragon as opposed to thunderbird or phoenix, were always feared in indigenous cultures. If you called it a dragon, now phoenix or a thunderbird was different. And I'm Métis as well, so I had the wonderful opportunity to speak to a Métis elder, a Cree elder, and he was interested in dragons because of his teachings, but he was gifted his own earth dragon, which he saw in the trunk of a tree. It was actually carved by the way the tree bark was. And he said, I saw this and I needed information, and I was told that you were the one to come to.
Ah,
So it opened a whole new door for this particular individual. And when he embraced that, he all of a sudden he went, whoa, oh, that is so powerful, such powerful medicine. And he went away with a new teaching that he's now gifting forward to his students and his people in his life.
That's so beautiful. You know, that's what I love about like the whole world of like metaphysics is that it's something that gets passed on from like teacher to student. And that because it has more of like an oral tradition and it's such a knowledge base that you really have to experience it in order to understand it.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely.
so,
Absolutely. And I,
ha, oh, sorry, go ahead.
go ahead. It's
Oh,
okay.
I was just gonna say, like, how has followed, like, how in your life journey, how has following your intuition changed your life?
It has made me a lot smarter in a way. And why I say that is because whenever I don't follow my messages and my guidance, I'm not really brilliant.
I kind of doubt that, Lisa.
But it's actually brought a new dimension to my world. And it also brought my partner, my husband, into my life,
Oh,
which is
wow.
interesting as well because he does the same. He has come on board. He reads cards. He does healing as well.
Oh, wow. That's so amazing. And how did you guys meet? I mean, that's always because I
We
mean, everybody's always wants to hear the love story, right?
we met in Banff.
Okay.
We were introduced to each other. A friend of mine introduced us, and it was interesting because I had decided at that point in time in my life, I was really so content in my life. I was by myself, and I had my place, and I had my friends, and everything was awesome. And my friend said, "You have to meet this guy." I'm like, "No, I don't." And one day I finally went, "Okay, fine, fine, I'll go." The rest is history. Here we are today, 20 years later.
Congratulations. That's a wonderful milestone. And to be
Yeah,
able
so
to
yeah, to be able
share this experience together, right?
yes,
That's a beautiful thing. And it's I really see it as a gift because it's not something like every couple gets to enjoy, right? So there must be some real like soulmate kind of energy going on there.
there is. And he's the Sagittarius to my Pisces, which is always interesting as well.
Cool, steamy. Fire and water.
Fire and water. So but he has gifted me the opportunity to do this full time when, because I was working corporate and I was working corporate as well as doing this. And then I went, you know what? Corporate world is not, it doesn't do anything for me. It actually was impeding my growth. So, as much as I love the amount of money you can make in corporate,
Yeah.
my mental health and physical health were far more important to me than any amount of money. And Russ was very kind in gifting me the opportunity to say, take your show on the road, let's do it.
That's so
Yeah,
beautiful.
yes.
So, since you have this like experience of having a really wonderful partner in your life, what would you tell those single people that are like, that are looking for love and that are like, perhaps falling in love with the wrong people? What would you tell them to give them that advice to like, allow them to find somebody that they really connect with?
The greatest piece of advice I can give is be comfortable in yourself and your own skin and create a space where somebody would want to be.
I love that. That's beautiful. I get goosebumps.
But it's so true because sometimes we get so wrapped up in the looking, we forget to create a space where somebody actually wants to come hang out and sit with us.
Ah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I would honestly be comfortable in this first. This is number one. Get this all sorted, then create the space, and that person will drop in.
Yeah. Yeah. Because love is kind of a miracle, isn't it?
It is a miracle. And you never know where it's going to come from.
Ever. Nope, just kind of shows up on your doorstep sometimes.
That's right. Sometimes the doorbell rings and there it is. They're like, wow, where have you been all my life?
Absolutely. For sure. So what would
Yeah.
you say is your favorite part of like working with clients? Like, when you're able to like really connect with the client and like, give them that piece that they were looking for. Like, what is your favorite part about that?
My favorite part of working with clients is being witness and bearing witness to their growth. When they have that light bulb moment or that heart expanding moment and I watch it happen. And that is the greatest gift any client can give a practitioner or a teacher.
For sure.
Yeah, that to me is so humbling,
Mhm.
so humbling for me. And I enjoy it. I enjoy watching people become who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Seeing that
I
light
love.
and just like seeing it shine, eh? And it's like, I see that in people's eyes too when they leave. Like, they'll like come in and they'll have this like darkness in their eyes. And then like at the end of a session, you just like see all of a sudden the light is back. And it's like, it's just so beautiful to be able to give that gift of empowerment, hey?
When you see their entire aura change color
Mm.
because of a message or guidance that you've provided, that sometimes it's they know it and they've heard it, but the way that you say it is the hook.
I don't know what it is about having a complete stranger tell you something that like you really needed to know, but there's something about it. Like you could hear it from your mom, you can hear it from your friends, but like when you go like see somebody and then you get to have that like, then and they tell you, you're like, "Oh, maybe I should listen to this."
Or that, yes, I know I've heard this before. And then they smile
Yeah.
because now you know they've actually heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that. I love that part is watching that whole shift. And you know that we know we have to work in the shadow. We all know that. We all have shadow work we do. However, when you can be with somebody and watch them navigate through their own shadow and watch that light expand more and more and more and start to put the shadow to the side, that's
Mhm.
so empowering as a practitioner.
Absolutely. I find that's like the gift. Like, when you're doing this work, like spirit always gives you a gift as well. Like, I find if I'm going through something in my own life and there's messages that I need to hear, suddenly a client will show up with like very similar challenges. And then it's just like, oh, yay, thank you, spirit.
Yes, yes. And sometimes it's more of a, okay, so apparently you're not listening to us, so we're going to bring somebody to you to help you understand.
Absolutely. What I always say is that, like, first you get the whisper, like, hey, maybe you need a change, right? And then you get the tap on the shoulder, and spirit comes up and says, like, hey, it's time to change. And then, like, if you don't listen to that, like, spirit brings out the frying pan and it goes whap, and it's like, now you're going to change, right? So it's always better to listen to the whisper or maybe the tap before the frying pan comes out so that
Yes,
like you can follow that inner guidance. And
yes,
that's what it's about, right? It's just like people just connecting back to themselves. Like we have all
mhm,
the answers, like, in our hearts. And so as like a psychic and like a healer, you just hold space for people to allow
yes,
them to step into that.
yes. The one challenge that I used to have that I have overcome is sometimes I would hold too much space.
Mm.
As in, I would try to drop into their emotion to fully experience when it's not my experience to have.
Oh, the empath trap. Yeah, where it's like, I'm going to take away all your pain and just absorb it so that you don't have to anymore. Yeah, I've been there. For sure. And then like, as you like progress with the work and you have more experience, like, I'm sure that you've learned how to manage that, right? Like I see
Yes.
that within you, that you have that sense of like understanding, where the boundaries are, right? Between
Hmm.
somebody else and between yourself.
Yeah. And uh, I will have to say that for me, it was a hard lesson to learn. It was a situation where I got too close. And honestly, from my experience, I lost a friend over that. However, it it really motivated me to understand why that about myself. I felt the need to fix everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Oh,
Yes.
well,
And then I wondered, you don't have to fix anybody.
yeah. That's the beautiful part, is that I feel like the more that we work on ourselves, and that idea, like, when we heal ourselves, we actually heal everybody else around us too.
Mhm.
This the really beautiful like part is that we're all so connected. There's like, there's no separation between us. We're just
Not at
connected
all.
to each other and connected to this like beautiful energy of love as
Yes.
well. Well, I could talk with you for so long, Lisa. But thank you so much for coming on our show this evening. And you're going to be offering tarot readings and healing sessions. Is that right?
Yes, that is
Okay,
correct.
fabulous. And so if you out there in Facebook land would like to find out more about Lisa, please go to our website, intuitiveartsfestival.com, and click on Lisa Wong.
Great. Thanks, Andrea. It was a pleasure.
Oh, this was so fun.
Okay.
Okay, take care.
Thanks. You too. Bye now.
Bye. Oh, wow. I tell you, we have some of the most beautiful people that join us at these shows. And our next guest really falls into that category as well. So I am going to bring on next CAssidy the Cardslinger. I had the opportunity to get to know CAssidy as part of the Divination Divine online tarot conference. Oh, look at you and your backdrop. That is so fabulous. I love it.
Send it along. It was perfect.
Oh, beautiful. How are you, CAssidy?
I am doing very, very well. Thanks. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Yes, thank you for having me. My pleasure.
So tell everybody out there on Facebook land about yourself and the work that you do.
Okay. Hi everybody. My name is CAssidy, and where's my cat? Was sleeping the whole time. Um, I'm a tarot card reader, and I absolutely adore cards. I adore everything about them. I do a number of different things in my own personal practice. I work with runes. I work with the pendulum, try the spirit board from time to time. A number of different things, but I really enjoy divination of all forms. I am a scientist by day and a diviner by night, so I really like to have my life, I guess, in two worlds, so to speak. So I come at my divination approach from a very, I guess, analytical and pragmatic perspective. So that was sort of how I got drawn into the whole world, and then the spiritual beautifulness came in shortly thereafter. So yeah, I in my because I it's interesting. There's the three pillars of mind, body, and spirit, right? So I I went to university and I did all the study and I got my mind right going, and then I got really into physical training and just doing all sorts of things athletic. And that was the body part, and then the last thing that came in for me was the spirit side. So it's yeah, there's just a little nutshell of how that all happened for me. But I've definitely found my muse and my passion with with all things card reading. So
Beautiful. And so what first like got you started on this path? Like what was that inspiration that led to your spiritual journey?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been very interested in, and when I talk about my spiritual journey, like 100% cards got me here. So we're gonna keep going back to that. And I had friends throughout high school that had cards. And anytime I knew someone who had a deck, I would just, "Oh, do you want to pull out your cards?" Or, because I bought into that myth that you can't buy your own deck for so long, and it breaks my heart to this day. So when I got my very first deck, I was actually on a trip to Florence, and I was there for a conference, and there was this absolutely adorable little, I guess, stationery type store, and they had all kinds of beautiful postcards, but they were like individually painted art cards and just really nice paper and pens. And in the very back of the store, they had this little chest that had tarot decks in it. And it was, oh, I just found a deck there that I was completely in love with, but was then so sad that I couldn't find my own deck. So I went back to my hotel room and I quickly Googled it. This is a real thing. And interesting. And so, I mean, that was probably 100 decks ago that I picked up that one. And I've got a rather healthy collection now. But that was really, really the start of how I got into this whole side of things.
Beautiful. And so what was your first moment where like intuition just like hit you? Where like you had a feeling that like that you were being guided. Do you have a story to share about that?
I mean, I've had a range of interesting experiences, as many people do. Just sometimes having really strong feelings about some particular thing that didn't make sense, like walking into a room and just feeling dread, or having a little voice in your head just say one way or the other way. And it was actually, so about 2 weeks after I got my deck, I was carrying it around in my little backpack, and I went to Croatia. And this is also a very interesting story. And anyway, I was staying in a hotel room, or in a little Airbnb with a friend of mine, and we had our beds side by side, kind of this way, and the door was right here. And in the middle of the night, I woke up and I saw her standing over her bed, kind of just like bent over. And I was like, "What are you doing?" And she said, "What are you doing?" And I look, and it's not her. And I was like really freaked out. So this figure then stood up, turned, and then ran out the door behind me. And it had very big, broad shoulders. This person was wearing like a very distinct hat. I couldn't make out their face, but I was 100% freaked out that someone had just broken into our room. And I noticed it because I was sitting right beside the door. And this is kind of more of a paranormal story, but it's all
Yeah, totally.
And what happened was the curtain that was over the door just went whoosh, right beside me. So I knew that something moved it. But then when I checked the door was locked. And I had heard the sound of the door slamming. I had seen the curtain move, and I had saw the figure, but there was no way that door was open. So that really freaked me out. Anyway, the next night I booked this was in Dubrovnik in Croatia, and I had booked a Ghosts and Spirits of Dubrovnik tour with this amazing lady who showed up wearing, the hermit costume with a big hood and her lamp, and took us around the city to all these different haunted places and such. And afterwards, I took her aside. I was like, "This is what happened to me. This is exactly where I'm staying." And she said, "That's really interesting, because that area was where, I guess, they had a very brutal war situation there very recently. Like, we're talking within the last 10 years. And that was kind of the first line and area of defense that a lot of their soldiers were stationed at." So she said, she sent me to another little museum, and she said, "Go and see if that's, if that's kind of what you saw." And I walked in, and my heart stopped, because 100% sure the outfit, the uniform was that. I saw it when I went into the museum, and I saw what their uniform was. That's what the person was wearing. And it just gives me shivers every time I hear that. So that was one of my most real, very strong, you can't rationalize everything, Cass, kind of moments in my life. And I mean, just other times that spirit has popped in, and you ask a question and you hear an answer, or you just really get told to take a different road that way, or just little things like that have always kind of popped in and guided me. But I was never, I guess, consciously aware of it or what was happening until I kind of started really looking at it more and diving into it a bit. But yeah, so I mean, like most people, it sort of comes, and I was listening to what you had said with Lisa too. It starts with a whisper, and it starts with a tap, and then it moves to the tap. And I mean, that guy in my room, I think, was my frying pan moment. Anyway, so
Beautiful. So what advice would you give to people out there that are perhaps like just starting to recognize that they've got this like inner voice or they've got guides around them? What advice would you give them to learn how to trust themselves and to trust their intuition?
for sure. So like just right off the bat, you can start for free. I know that's something that it can be a big barrier for people. If you think, I want to get into this, do I need to buy this crystal or take this course or buy this, whatever it is? Buy this stick. I mean, do it, but whatever it is, you can absolutely start for free. So meditation is a really beautiful way that I love to just tap in and check in with myself. Anything for me involves like going out in nature, being on a beach, being in a forest, things like that. But I would say really find and follow what you're drawn to do. And if you don't know what that is, just sit with yourself and kind of, where do I wish I could be right now? And then is that like possible? Could you take a walk to the park? Could you just try to respond to the little, I guess, soul cravings might be the right way to phrase that you get. Yeah, just start very small. It doesn't need to be overwhelming. You don't need to start with a 10-hour meditation practice a day and all this kind of thing. There's different points of entries for everyone. For me, it was cards. So I would always recommend picking up a deck. It can be an oracle deck, a tarot deck of cards. I mean, learn traditional cartomancy. That's awesome as well. I just found that was a way that I could hear and connect very easily and quickly through using cards. But I mean, develop what gifts you have. See if you have the ability of sight. Close your eyes and sit there. What do you see in your mind's eye, or can you hear things? Can you feel things? And, are you highly empathic? A lot of people just, when they learn what that is, it's such a liberating thing that they can pick up on things from other people, or like you had said before, take away other people's pain, to just, I don't know, reach out to the community, come to the Intuitive Arts Festival, find people that are like-minded and interested in the same sort of things you are, because it's a beautiful journey and it never ends. So
Beautiful.
yeah, quick words.
Yeah. So being like, the question I have is that you kind of have like one foot in both worlds. You have one foot in the intuitive world and you have one foot in the scientific world. So how do you explain to people in that scientific world, like the world of spirit? Or do you even bother?
Depends on the person. And I think this is where, just in general, I mean, in my readings and how I perform my sessions with people, is you've really got to meet people where they're at. Speak in language that they understand. And that's why for myself, I like to say I have no belief system, myself particularly, and that what I really work to do is kind of attune myself to where people are coming from. So if you work with certain energies or you believe in a certain type of thing, I think it's all valid and excellent, however way people decide to connect. So part of it, just coming into how would this make sense for someone? And then, I mean, for like skeptics, that's always a really good time. But not all scientific people are skeptic.
No, of course. Yeah.
But it's good to speak their language, right? What do they need to understand? Okay, they would probably look for reproducibility. They would look for things that when you're planning a study, the things that you're looking for. Can it be observed? Can it be reproduced? Can it be, can you collect data on this thing? It's like, do a reading. Can you tell them what's happened in their life? Can you tell them, where their problems are coming from? That kind of thing. Just I kind of let it speak for itself, kind of a thing. Let it. I don't know. I'm never out to change anyone's mind, because I think that everyone, you're probably right where you need to be, wherever you're at. So when I approach other people, you start with a little dabs and things. Oh, what do you do with your spare time? Oh, my free time, I like to read tarot cards. then people are typically quite interested, or just slide away slowly. But it's yeah, I mean, just in general and in any communication, just meeting people where they are at. So
Oh, that's beautiful. And so
yeah.
you're doing a workshop as well as offering tarot readings as part of the Intuitive Arts Festival. And so your workshop is all about shadow work. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So this time of year, you know, it's dark out right now. It's dark really early. It's dark in the morning. It's just a really excellent time to dive into the, you know, the shadow self, which is such a topic that I love. I find it so interesting. That's a practice and something that has been so, I guess, liberating and just deeply insightful to dive into those parts of yourself. Because one of my favorite things in life is when somebody questions what I think or how I believe something is. I love that. Like, let's talk. Let's have a good, juicy discussion about why we feel the way we feel or why things happen. So shadow work for me was just like, let's dive in, you know, let's go to those really difficult, hard to look at parts. So it's a huge, it is such a big topic. And there's so many different ways you can look at it. But a part of shadow work is looking at things that are either repressed in yourself, whether that was because you had to do that to adapt to your surrounding environment, or it was a response to trauma, or it was, for whatever reason, it's something that maybe was pushed down. It can be if you find you get really triggered by some particular thing, especially if it's something that your response could arguably be like the amount that pushed it, it just went way too far. What's the right word for that? Like not overreacting, but it doesn't match the thing that happened. You know, someone offers you a blue pen and something really happens for you. Anyway, that's one of the kinds. So what I want to do in the workshop is kind of just shine a light on basically what shadow work is, how you can get started for yourself. Again, it's a completely free practice. I'd recommend a pen and some paper. You don't need to if you don't want to write things down, but it's an excellent way to really grow and heal things that could hold you back or that make you feel uncomfortable, or diving into those parts of yourself that are just a little, there's resistance there. And a great way in shadow work to move past that or move with it is essentially shine light on it. And what is light? Your conscious awareness and attention of it. Just like, you know, you're shining a flashlight, you're looking in the shadow, you're showing up for it, you're seeing what it is, you're recognizing it. Maybe you're healing it, maybe you're giving it some love. What does it need from you? So in a nutshell, that's how the workshop will be. So we'll talk about what it is, how you can start doing it, and we're actually going to do a shadow work session as well as a so.
Amazing. And like, you know, it's this time of Scorpio that we're in right now. I mean, it's the perfect time to like, you know, to just go really deep. So yeah, so I'm really excited about that. Thank you so much for joining us, CAssidy. And we'll see you at the Intuitive Arts Festival. It's about, goodness, I guess it's about 10 days away, 9 days away now. So it's coming up fast. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks for joining us.
I can't wait. Thanks for having me. We'll see you all there.
Have a good night.
Thanks, you too. Bye, Adria.
Bye. Amazing. I tell ya, there's a lot of awesomeness that's going on. And our theme this year is Bring in the Light. So it's all about bringing through that beautiful light of spirit and also just like illuminating that light within your heart as well. So our next guest is a good friend of mine, and we are going to be bringing into the room Ian Byington, who is the creator of the Spirit of Victoria directory. Hi, Ian. Are you there?
You know, I yes. There.
Beautiful. How are you?
Good. How you doing? It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's great to see you.
Yeah.
So, Ian, I have to say, you are one of the most enlightened people that I know. And
well, I can. We can take care of that. The there. This there.
And
okay, good.
Do you know why I say that? I'm making you really uncomfortable right now. I can see it.
No.
So this is great because like I love any opportunity I get to embarrass my friends on like live Facebook streams. But But you just have this like amazing way with people. You are just like such a wonderful connector of like energy. And like you're also one of the most like non-judgmental people that I know. And that is just like such a beautiful quality. So thank you for joining us, and tell everybody else out there, now that I've introduced you, about your work with Spirit of Victoria.
Well, thank you. You know, Andrea, I was going to ask you if I can share screen.
Yeah, go for
Can
it.
you set it up, or is it set up?
Oh, okay. No, I have not set that up. So
Oh,
just give
okay.
me a
The
moment
multiple
here.
participants thing.
So
Because
there you go.
back in, great, thank you. Back in 1994, I started making web pages. And, you know, you got to have a hobby, right? And so we started to, oh, not, let's don't do that one. You know, when you're smooth and you think you go, oh yeah, I've got it ready to go there. Maybe I do. Oh, there we go. And only a couple of years later, we decided to put all the web pages in our little community on one place, and we called it a directory, although basically it was just a bunch of links. Although that's a directory, isn't it? It's just how to get to people that way. And it was really cool. Got to do that for 15 years, found lots of different ways to do it. And while we were doing that, did a newspaper and did, of all things, a metaphysical directory back in 2007, where I was. And so into all this stuff, and basically just love connecting people with each other, you know, at the end of the day is what it's about. Because that's what directories are for, so we can see each other. And when I moved here, well, actually before we moved here, when Josie and I came here to look for a place to live, we went to San Jose Street, a block away from James Bay Community Center, the same weekend that the Intuitive Arts Fair was going on back in 2012, which suddenly sounds like the past. And
way back when.
And it was, and we went, if I remember right, it was 12 to 5 that day or some kind of thing. And we went at 5 minutes after 12, and I think we stayed and helped put away chairs. We just didn't want to go. We met so many interesting people. I met you and Adam, met all kind of people that we're still in touch with, and we hadn't even moved here yet. But we thought, well, and the house didn't work out, but the fair did. It was like, gosh, this is just so cool. And it was neat to see how you were making everybody so easily available to people who wanted to come explore, who were seeking, who were sometimes just curious, as if that's a small thing. It's not. It's a wonderful, large, opens the world up thing. And so all of that was happening in one place. And over the next 2 or 3 years, mixed with the work I was trying to do, I thought, well, let's try and do this. So we put a directory together. It's got, as you can see, this is at the Spirit of Victoria .ca. I just put it in the chat, and it's got all these different categories: energy healing, treatments, astrologers, meditation, readers of all kinds, food. We've got nutritionists in there. Mostly are leaning towards intuitive type nutrition. There's all the stores, or anybody that sells stuff is there. Body work, coaches, counselors, practitioners, music, sound, healing. I'm reading them all, so just in case you can't read it. Events organizers, all things yoga, books and authors, professional services. Now that sounds funny, except it's people like this friend of mine who makes web pages for people who do spiritual work. Adam, yeah.
PangeaWebServices.com. I'll just drop that in there for him.
Your webpage, that's who you call, or you look it up on the Spirit of Victoria. So kind of, we spread the word in lots of different ways, not just this webpage. There's right now a little over 300 people in the directory, which is amazing to me to think of. And there's just all these little things like here's Survive Well Botanicals. Victoria makes tea, and she just connected with Lifestyles Market, a block from me here in Cook Street Village, selling her tea there. And I think it's because some guy dropped off a thing of it for everybody to try. I'm not sure who that was,
And she was actually at the Intuitive Arts Festival last year as well at Da Vinci Center.
Right at the front door, loading everybody up with tea before they could even go in the door. It was great. Big
Yeah.
smile on face. Got reviews of all the different people that are in the directory. There's 24 on the front page, and then just events that are coming up as well. So as you can see, it's about connecting people, not just, oh, we hope we find you on Google and hope this event somehow gets out. If you put your event on here, if you put your review and profile on here, you're getting in front of an awful lot of people. That's a start. But the other part of the deal, and the most important part perhaps, is the people who are looking for this stuff. Because where do you look? You know, as we've already heard tonight, different people start becoming aware that there's other things besides what you just see with your eyes, and it's nice to have a buddy to walk that path with, whatever that looks like. It might be a teacher, it might be a reader, it might be somebody that you see for 10 years, it might be somebody you see once and write the notes down and get it. It doesn't really matter. It's just so important to know that we're not alone when we do this stuff.
Absolutely. So when did you start on your healing journey? Like when were you kind of more like aware that there was something outside of the five senses? Because you grew up in the US down in the South.
Yeah, I so lucky to get to grow up in. People talk now about these are times of transformation and great change and all. This is nothing. I grew up in Montgomery in the 60s, Montgomery, Alabama. Walking the streets that Dr. King walked. I was in Montgomery when the Selma Montgomery March came to Montgomery, and wonderful, wonderful, open-hearted times. Scary times for some, scary times for others because people were trying to scare them. But transformational. I mean, look what we got now compared to what we had then. Are we done? No, no. That's the beauty of evolution. That's the beauty of transformation is we're not done. And I got to grow up with that too. My parents were Anglican, but very, not strict, but very attentive and they're adept. And I don't even know the right word. They were really into their practice. All the way up to the day of their passing 3 years ago. So I got a dose of there's something besides this as we went along. I grew up with monks, with priests, with nuns. Grew up singing. I know you grew up singing in taverns and stuff, and that's why you're a big deal. I'm a big deal because well, I'm a little deal because I started singing in. I was at a Catholic school at Mass. I'm playing the guitar and 300 kids. My first gig is 300 kids singing, religious songs. And what a great thing to start with. You get to, for starters, face, I don't know what the healing is. I mean, you face your fears because they're going to make you do it. And I told them, I'm Anglican. You can't make me do this. And they said, yes, we can. Yeah. And it was, so I don't know. I think if there's any healing involved, what I've learned over the course of time is that healing happens, or at least has a chance to begin to happen, if not happens, when we, one way or another, work together. And I really believe in an expression that came to me in a dream: share and heal. And I think it really boils down to all of that. If we share, now not share like, hey, I've got some, hey, you want some of what I got. That's the beginning of sharing, but it's not sharing until there's a back and forth. And that's what the spirit of Victoria at the end of the day is about, is the back and forth. It's not call and get everything you need and there you are. It's people who have stuff to offer, being able to connect to people that they might not find as easily, and vice versa, that they can find and that an exchange happens then. It's not somebody on a hill saying everything and now we've got it all. It's the back and forth, which results in folks being able to heal. And I'm just excited to be a small part, not I, but that the directory has a part of that. So.
So how did you make the break from like, like the Anglican teachings, like over into metaphysics? Was there like, like a moment or a draw that brought you in that direction?
Well, thanks for asking that. And I, it just to answer that, I would echo what CAssidy said. And that is, for starters, you don't talk anybody into it. And
No.
when you asked her, here's science, here's metaphysics, what do you, and not to correct what you said, but to add to it, I never made a break from it. I never made a break from it. When I'm in an Anglican church at my parents' two separate funerals, I'm at home.
Mhm.
And when I'm talking to my one of my friends, who's, some people call me Brother Ian, because at Catholic school they kept saying, you should be a monk, and I said, thanks, and they called me Brother Ian. So I've got monk friends, and the key is that when I think of people like Father Lewis, who's also known as Thomas Merton, uh, I mean, okay, he's a Catholic Trappist monk. If he's not metaphysical, what do you want? Come on, let's go. So I don't see there being, or at least I'm not worried about a break from anything. I want to learn from anybody that'll answer my really uninformed but really curious questions.
Beautiful. And I do think that like, that the thing that like separates like, like religion and like spirituality is really simply the language. Because like really when you look at it, it's like it's all very similar, right? Like we're all believing in a higher power. We all believe that there are like, like spirits and like guides that are working towards like, our greatest good. And it's just it kind of still blows my mind that there's been like so many wars about like the same thing, and it's just like, no, I say it this way and I say it this way. And it's really fascinating, hey.
Well, it's time to set those aside, because what's really cool is after the wars, people come together. I've got a picture at my desk here, not of Governor Wallace in 1963 saying segregation now, segregation forever, and not same year going to where I went to school, the University of Alabama, standing, as they said, in the schoolhouse door and saying, Black people can't come in, because two Black people had been accepted by the admissions office and came to register, and he stood there with state troopers and wouldn't let them in. They went ahead, they were removed, the governor was, and the two people registered, and one of them, Vivian Malone, graduated. And I've got a picture of her and Governor Wallace a year before he died, laughing and talking to each other. And him having made a speech about 14 years before saying, so wars, maybe we got to do them for a moment, but we got to kiss and make up when we're done. And we got to shake hands, and we got to agree. Maybe we disagree, but let's don't hurt anybody about it. Let's just do the best we can and work together doing that. And that's what I'm excited about in the States for the next few months, is that we get a chance to do that, and not just in the States politically and all that, but each in our day-to-day lives as we find the little things we bump heads on. Exactly. Let's don't fight about it. Let's find a way to do it together.
Absolutely. And that's why we need community. And it's like building those communities and bringing people together so that we can raise the awareness and we can just build those connections. Because like when you have those like personal connections that are beyond ideology or like belief systems, like, that's where people really shine, right? Because we stop like seeing each person as an individual for what's on the outside, and we're able to just embrace the kindness and the beauty that like each of us have in the inside. And I love that about community, and I love that about community gatherings. And it's something that's always been true with the intuitive arts festivals. Like we get people from all cultures come and join us, and that's so exciting for me, because I feel like we need more of those experiences that like brings together multiculturalism so that we can learn from each other.
And multiculturalism comes from two English people that live next to each other in Victoria. That's still multi enough. Let's still do it together. Let's get together. And I love the word community, not as as something that's an active verb. It's not, it's a noun, I know that. But as an active doing it thing, which this Saturday is happening in a perhaps smaller way over at the Da Vinci Center with the book thing from 12 to 3, the spiritual book exchange. If you haven't heard about it, check on this page that you're on right now and find it and go there. See you there. And then next week, who knows how, it doesn't matter how many people show up. What matters is that we find each other.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Ian.
Thank you.
We're going to have Laara join us next, but she's not in the room yet. So Laara, if you're watching this, there is a Zoom link in our exhibitor group, and I hope you find that. And there she is. Fantastic. Love it. Thank you so much for joining us, Ian. And I'll see you on Saturday, and happy Halloween.
And just before I go, in front of God and everybody here, or Spirit and Source and everybody, you and Adam doing all this stuff, it's not just that it's a lot of work, it's a labor of love that you guys do with such grace, such community building, and it's beautiful for so many people. Thank you on behalf of all these people. Thank you for what you do.
Thanks, Ian.
You bet.
Have a good night.
Have a good night. Talk soon. Take care.
Lovely. So we're going to bring in our very next special guest. Hi, Laara. How are you?
Hi, so good to see you. I'm great.
Oh, it's good to see you too. I've been really excited to talk with you. I've been watching all of your videos. You've got an amazing collection on Instagram and Facebook as well. So could you tell us all about the work that you do and the light codes that you've discovered?
Oh my goodness. Well, we do a lot of things, like a lot of beautiful people on here. So yeah, we do light codes, which is a form of light language. So if you're unfamiliar with light language, it's actually like the language of the soul. So how I like to describe it is everything known and unknown is held within light. So like light is literally everything. But then in order for us to connect with this infinite potential of knowledge and wisdom, we need to condense it down into something that's sort of tangible for us. So this is light language, and it comes in the form of written and signed. We can sign it, and we can speak it, and we can dance. There's all different kinds of forms, and it's always connected with our heart, because this expression is coming from our soul. It is the language of the soul, since our soul is, of course, light.
Oh, beautiful. And so where did this inspiration come from in the work that you've been offering and the books that you've been writing as well?
Well, it first started for me. I was awoken by spirit one night around, the 4 a.m. wake up call.
Oh, yeah.
So, I've been getting some of those just sort of early in my, I want to say early in my spiritual development, although I think, to be honest, we're all kind of early in our spiritual development. But this is a few years ago, we'll just put it that way. And I'd become accustomed to this wake-up call, and I had learned that when you do get the wake-up call, you better get up and write down whatever it is that you've gotten. Otherwise, Spirit's not going to let you go back to sleep. So they woke me up out of a dream. That was a very vivid dream. I still remember it, and it's actually a relatively funny dream. I remember it a lot. And I woke up to these silver codes floating around my room. And I went, oh, that's interesting. And so I got my pen and paper and wrote down the dream and wrote down the symbols. And this was one time, actually, not very many people know this, but it was actually an introduction to my head guide, who isn't actually with me anymore, but he was with me for several years. And so he was explaining the dream and the codes and everything like that. So that's how it all started.
That's beautiful. Have you always known that you're like a healer and an intuitive?
I would say so. I remember being about 4 years old, and like my mom would have a headache or something, and I'd want to put my hands on her, like, well, let me fix that for you. And my dad has very healing hands also. So I think it does get passed down to us, but I think ultimately human beings are healers. I think we are all healers. We just have different ways of doing it.
Absolutely. It's that connection that we feel, hey?
Yeah,
That's such a huge part of like the healing. And when you're able to like connect your heart to the heart of somebody else, like it's so amazing what unfolds from there. And so
absolutely.
you also do fractaline healing. Could you tell us more about that?
Yes. So Fractaline that was another 4 a.m. wake up call.
Do you ever sleep, darling?
I sleep more now than I did a few years ago. But yeah, so again, got woken up out of a very vivid dream, and I was just buzzing like more than I had ever been buzzing before. And I went, whoa, this one's different. So I thought, I better get up. At the same time, spirit's like, get out of bed, like, this is like I had to get up and come into my living room where I do my meditations. And I grabbed a pen and paper and just started writing, just channeling and channeling. And I was introduced to fractaline healing, or what became fractaline healing. And they were like, okay, you ready to go in? And I'm just like, like buzzing like crazy. And I was like, okay. And I closed my eyes and they took me into this space. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is unbelievable. And ever since that day, we've been developing it. There's kind of a group of us that have been developing it. I was told that this fractaline is actually a major part of my soul's purpose for being incarnated at this time. Like, this really is a major part of my journey, and I just feel so humbled and blessed to be able to bring it forward for people. I think it's no coincidence that it's coming forward at this time. It is extremely powerful. It is extremely helping us to align to our authentic truth, to our power, the power that is our light, and love, and not the kind of love. No, it's like here. So it is amazing. It's a multi-level system. There's it is a meditation, which is what's really interesting. So it's something that you can do on your own, or like I'm using it. This is my distance healing modality now because it's just so effective. So I go into a meditative state, meet the person, they show up. They always show up. I've never had a problem with people not showing up. They're all like, ooh. And then we do some good alignments, like align the chakras and align the etheric body, which is the energetic body, with the physical body, and fill up with light. And then you can do shadow work in here. You can work with light codes in here. You can work with any modality that you've been taught can be applied in this space, which is what I think is just so amazing too. And that's just the first level. And there's 4 levels.
Oh, wow. And you have a book that you wrote about this as well.
Yes, well, it's in process right now.
Beautiful.
So my editor has it. So, and that's round 1 of editing. And for those who don't know about the process of publishing a book, it is a lengthy one. So there's a lot of back and forth, and I have a habit of apparently making things a bit too lofty. So to like ground the ideas so that they're more easily understood by the reader, because of course that is the whole point when we write books, is to convey a message that people can understand. So yeah, that's our process right now. I have an amazing editor.
Oh, beautiful. And so when is like that kind of like rough estimate that you think that there's a possibility of your book being released?
It will be released early mid-January.
Beautiful.
And we will be making some courses too. It's one of those things that could very easily become like that kind of healing modality, like Reiki or like Theta healing, where you can, earn a certificate and be, certified, I guess, in the modality. It really has all of that. I'm just sitting with how that's going to come about. And, if we need teachers or if it can all be done online, we'll probably try a few different things, just, see how it goes for people.
Absolutely. So I have a sense that you're a person that has seen some like miraculous healings in in your work. And are there any stories that you can share with our listeners at home?
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorites, because this was a total non-believer.
Those are the most fun, aren't they?
They are. They are. And it's like this one, I mean, this wasn't like a life or death situation, but it matters still, right? So what happened was this guy had got on a plane and from North America, he was flying to Europe. And while he was on the plane, took his shoes and socks off, like so many do, right? But he got massive swelling in his feet and ankles to the point that he actually couldn't put his shoes and socks back on by the time they landed. And he was in so much pain walking, like he could barely put bare weight. So here they are, they're in Barcelona, he and his partner and some friends, and they're trying to explore the city and like all the beautiful sights that Barcelona has to offer and share. And he's completely miserable because he's in so much pain. And I don't know if you've ever had your ankles blow up, but it is not comfortable. So they kind of messaged me and they're like, yeah, we don't know if you can do anything about this, but we're willing to try. And I said, absolutely, I'll give it a try, right? So 8-hour-ish time difference. He's asleep when I go in to Fractaline and do this session. Of course, meet him, do my thing. Feel like, okay, we're just getting a bit of a flush going on. Feels pretty good. He woke up and the swelling was gone.
Wow, that's so cool.
That was a good one. And the other really good one was a doctor friend of mine, also in Europe, German doctor. She had, I don't remember what the scenario was, but she ended up with an infection in her arm and had to be put on antibiotics for it. And she just reached out and she was like, can you help me out? Because no one wants to be on antibiotics longer than they have to be. So I said, sure, we'll give it a try. So again, she's asleep and I just go in, and she messaged me the next day and said, I'm a doctor. Antibiotics don't work that fast.
Too cool. I love it.
So those are some fun ones.
Yeah, for sure. So you're going to be offering a workshop on the light codes, and I believe that you're doing an live Insta presentation as well. Can you tell us about both of those?
For sure. So the Instagram, I think that one is going to be the first 15 minutes. We'll actually do a little meditation that's going to walk us a little bit into that fractaline healing space. Just a little teaser. So that'll be fun. And then after the 15 minutes, then we're going to just go over all the amazing things that Light Codes by Laara has to offer. So the books and the oracle cards and the distance healing and the personalized light codes and all that good stuff. And then, and then our other call is going to be about light codes and basically how to channel them and understanding them, because there's a lot of interest these days of, oh, what are those and how can I do that? So we're going to try and demystify some of that so that people can start, hopefully feel more confident that they can channel light codes too, because everybody can channel light codes.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Well, I'm so excited to hear your workshop and to be able to find out more about this whole system. Like, darling, you've been so busy. You should be so proud of yourself for everything that you've created. And I feel like so honored to have you join us for the Intuitive Arts Festival. So thank you so much for coming on our talk show this evening. And we'll see you next weekend.
You bet. Thank you so much for having me. It's been great.
Lovely. Well, have a great evening. Thank
You
you.
too. Bye. All blessings.
Bye. Well, wasn't that fun, everybody at home? I tell ya, we have some really fantastic people. We have been doing interviews all month. We do have everything on our YouTube channel. So if you'd like to see all of the videos from our exhibitors and perhaps watch some of our past recordings of the talk shows, you can find those on our Facebook page and also on our YouTube channel as well. So thank you, everybody out there, for joining us this evening. I'm looking forward to seeing all the people from Victoria this Saturday at the pop-up. And then we're going live to the world starting on November 6th. And the beautiful part is that if you are new to Zoom, that's okay. We're going to have a little like Zoom introduction party Friday at 5 o'clock, just to kind of get everybody comfortable with like getting into the Zoom room. We have all of the links that are going to be posted in the ticket holders area. So once you get your ticket, you get to go backstage and check out all the deals that we have and offerings from all of our exhibitors. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. And I really look forward to our main event, the Intuitive Arts Festival. And next week for our final talk show, we are going to be bringing everybody on board from all of our exhibitors, just to be able to say hi to you and to send you love and to send you light. So I hope you have a very wonderful evening, and peace, love, and so many blessings. Take care till we meet again.